reason I love doing it is because of my friends and because of the people. Like I know for certain that I would not be playing if it weren't for this small group of people in Mankato that I've met.
Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the TF Cast. I'm Willis.
Hey, Grum here. It is December 6th in the Solarium.
And I'm your host, Jacob Bases. Today with us, we are very pleased to present Mal Murphy with her first EP, I believe, Grow Up. Mal, if you could introduce yourself to the audience and tell us the first thing we need to know about your first EP.
Hi, my name is Mal Murphy, and yeah, my EP Grow Up is coming out in a week exactly.
Ooh.
December 13th.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You did it.
Are you excited about it?
I am. I just want everything to go smoothly. I
Yeah.
hope that everything goes well, and then after, I think I'll feel better.
What do you clock as the start of your album journey? Like, where did you start from to get to here?
My whole life.
Your whole life? I guess then where did your music journey start?
But I started recording the songs actually 2 years ago. Was the first time I put like a vocal track down on anything. So 2020, the fall of 2020.
Well, you know, maybe we should pull it back a little bit since this is your first time on the show and just think like, hey, what's your musical journey like? Like, I know that you came from a musical family.
Yes.
So, you know, tell us what got you into music in the first place and what brought you here.
Yeah. So I guess I grew up listening to music. My mom is she played the guitar and she's always like singing along and listening to music. So I think it was just like always around me. There was like never a time where I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say just like by listening with her and like my older sister and my younger brother, like everybody was in band. I was in band, but then later ended up like quitting. But so yeah, just basically grew up listening to it, and then when I was like 12 or so, I learned to play the ukulele, and then later that year, like 13, when I was 13 or 14, I taught myself the guitar, and then kind of just went from there. Yeah.
Well, I feel like people... So I knew you as someone who's been around and playing music for quite some time now. I think you've been performing in public for a number of years. I couldn't say how many. Maybe you got... How many years has it been that you've been performing?
I would say 3 good years.
Cool.
And then there were 2 years before that where I was doing some open mics that I wouldn't really call like performing because it was like, I didn't know what I was doing. But I played my first open mic, in like 2019.
Okay. Well, I knew you as like a performer and a musician, and I was actually surprised to find that you hadn't already put out an album or something. But I think
I had the same experience actually.
Yeah, I feel like I knew you as an established like solo musician or something before I knew that you were working on your first album. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it sounds like you started like a year, 2 years before I met you. So that I had the same experience though. I thought you were totally like someone who had been gigging in town for a long time.
You know, it was probably right when we started paying attention on account of Triple Falls, because like you started gigging out like when we started Triple Falls. So like as long as we've like really been, like trying to pay attention to everything going on, like you've been out there. So it kind of adds up.
I watched your first video, who was like some of the first, like Laura Carl's.
Well,
Grum was the first person. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, I want to be on there. And this has been the journey.
Maybe someday.
We're here.
All you had to do is write an album.
Yes.
What so you kind of mentioned briefly what brought you to the album, but like what's some of the inspiration behind it? Why did you want to write a work, and are we calling it an album or are we calling it an EP?
It doesn't matter. I think you could call it both.
Somewhere in the middle.
Malbum. It's a Malbum.
There's 2 reasons. Well, I'm sure there's other reasons, but 2 reasons I can like say. The first is that I just wanted to be able to give something to people. Often like when I'm playing live music, people will say like, oh, where can we find you? How can we listen to you? Even before a venue wants to book me, they'll often ask how I sound, just, because they don't want to like hire anything cringy. And so just to have like a physical copy of something or something digitally as well to be able to give them, I think it kind of just also makes you seem a little bit more professional. Like you know, so that would be like the first reason. And actually when I started like recording, I didn't think I was going to make an album. Scott Helgerson was just kind of showing me how it worked, like how you put vocals down. And then like as we started recording, I was like, oh, maybe we should make this into something. So that's the first reason. The second reason is I'm really inspired by an artist named Jade Bird. And she's an English songwriter. She's like 25-ish, but I saw her at First Avenue, and she's just like punky and small and full of energy. And she's just like this little firecracker. And I saw that she released her first EP when she was 19, 20. And I thought like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And I was really inspired by that. So I thought like that should be the first thing I should do, is do something similar to her album. It's called Something American.
And is it musically similar to that? Or if it is or it isn't, you should tell people who haven't heard your music what kind of music you play.
So I think I would say that I'm under the category like Americana music, but it could be kind of like indie or country. But I really did try. I mean, I guess I don't purposely try when I was like been writing songs to sound like anyone identically, obviously, but especially like my strumming now, as I look back, even just like when we recorded this last song, Jade Bird has very like intense strumming. Like that's kind of what she's known for, is how well she can keep her own beat. And that's something I kind of strive to do. So especially on the song Grow Down, I think I'm trying to mimic her sound a little bit.
Well, even when we were playing or when you played those songs, you said, sorry, the name of the second one?
Grow Down. Yep.
And then the first one was one of Ben Scruggs' songs. I guess maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but I see you playing out a lot with some of the other local musicians and stuff. And I guess maybe with the album writing process, like how is your experience playing out and getting to practice with Ben and Mal, or your Mal?
Mal, yeah.
I know you played with Nate Boots, and you played with...
Yes, every day. I play with Nate Boots and Krista Bowman, Zach Walchuk, Ben Scruggs.
Yeah. What it's been like
Caleb Brunchels,
being able to play with some of those artists. How's that helped you with your album process?
Yeah, so I feel each person that is my friend, they're kind of all on their own journey. Some of them have their own albums, some of them write their own music, some of them don't. And I think there were times when I was first starting out, I was kind of unsure, like, is this something I'm going to continue to do? Or is this something I was just kind of trying to do as like a hobby? I was unsure, but then, and I'm not even really in love with playing live music. I'll say that. Okay. We're on recording.
We might have to get back
this is live. But I'm not, I wouldn't even say it's something I love. It's just something I like to do. But the reason I love doing it is because of my friends and because of the people. Like I know for certain that I would not be playing if it weren't for this small group of people in Mankato that I've met. I think them just like showing me how they do it, their advice, and the feeling like when they're playing a song with me and in bringing it to that next level that I wouldn't be able to do on my own at this current stage is like kind of unbelievable to me. So I'd say that that's kind of, I don't know, my favorite thing about it.
If there are any, can you give an example of how that is reflected in the album?
Well, there's some people who are featured on it. For example, like I don't think my songwriting is at the point where I should be making an album of 12 songs. I think that, I have like 5 or 6 songs that I play out live, and then I've got 50 songs that are half finished, which seems very small to any songwriter who's listening to this, and they're like, oh, we have like hundreds of songs. But so I just have that. Sorry, what was the question? Where were we at?
You were saying that a lot of what you've seen through the community is like people contributing, and like how that's, got you focused on live.
Right.
Where's that reflected?
So I didn't feel like I had enough songs to make a full album. And so that's kind of where people like Ben Scruggs came in, is I listened to my friends' albums and their original music so much that I kind of thought, if there was a way that I could take their music, the core, like the base that they've already created, and kind of branch off from that, like maybe I can kind of make it my own. So yeah, I'd say like the song that I'm covering on Ben's, I just found a way to kind of make it my own, even though he wrote it. So examples like that, I'd say, or even, you know, I don't know how to play the fiddle, but Krista Bowman plays fiddle on 2 songs, and she just advances it to that next level that I wouldn't be able to at this moment.
Triple Falls is a media and event production company based in southern Minnesota. We specialize in multicam live streaming and sound and lighting for event productions. Contact us today to learn more, or subscribe online to join our newsletter and stay up to date about events and things going on in the area. Thanks for tuning in. Back to your show.
I think it's interesting that you say that you're not into playing live, because I'm pretty much the opposite. I would say that if it wasn't for playing live, I probably do it. That's like my favorite part of like the energy of it and the adrenaline and like the just everything about it. So it's interesting that you would consider yourself someone who doesn't enjoy playing live, but it also sounds like your favorite part is playing with your friends, which is playing live as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I shouldn't say that I don't not like it, because obviously I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd say I get nervous. I just get kind of like spazzy would be the right word. Like for like making sure I have all of my equipment, and the feeling of like traveling 45 minutes away with the thought that maybe something's not going to work when I plug everything in gives me so much anxiety that it almost sometimes like ruins at least like the first half of a gig.
Yeah.
Or like the first couple of songs will be kind of like hectic until I realize, and maybe like some Jameson kicks in, like, okay, chill out a little bit. Like, this isn't the biggest deal.
Yeah, and SFU, we put like a slow song up front specifically because it takes Arc like a song or two to like be there and be in it and be present. So I think that's pretty normal.
Yep.
What are your goals for the album? Like, how's the album going to work for you? And like, is it going to be the beginning of a string of albums and performances, or?
I was asked this question when I was interviewed with Rob Murray at the Free Press, and I'm still kind of unsure of what to say to that. I think I've started booking some gigs for 2024. Like I'll be playing at the Grand in New Ulm for the first time. I'm really excited about that. Cool. So just stuff like that I wasn't ready for a year and a half ago. So I definitely want to take it to new gigs and be able to play. I purposely put people on it that I play, like Krista and Nate, and play with, and Ben. So continue to play with them. But I would like to say that I'll be able to have a full Val Murphy album, because I think I have it in me. The writing just needs to get... I just need to get more experience, I think.
Sure. What is your writing process like?
I don't really have like a set process. I think often it will be when I hear someone say something. That's why the album is called Grow Up, is because I heard someone told me in kind of like a negative way, like, hey, you need to grow up. And that sparked the idea of the song Grow Down, like, hey, why do I have to grow up? Why can't you like meet me where I'm at? So I think it's like sparked from the things I hear, whether I'm bartending or like I'm currently like doing some part-time at like a nursing home, and they're always saying kind of funny things. So if I hear like little segments of lines or bits, then I'll think like, oh, that would be a good way to put in a line. So I'm often writing the lyrics first, because I don't know how to read music. So forming the music is kind of challenging. I'll just kind of start playing on my song, like playing on my guitar, and then find a melody through there. But it's pretty random. I'm not, I don't often set time aside to try to write a new song. Sure. It will be like I'm driving home and think like, oh, I should get to my guitar quick and see if I can like form that line into like a melody.
So you do, you bring the things that you hear or the thoughts in your head to your guitar, and then you work it out.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
You mentioned that I think it was that you had not been sure if you were going to like make performing a part of your life, but it seems like now you have. Is that something you like feel washy on at all? You got like one toe out of the pool, or are you pretty like comfortable and excited about like trying to be a musician and doing that more?
I don't ever, I mean, unless something happens where I am playing it as my full-time career.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'll be playing. Yeah, I don't see it being my career. I see it as kind of something that's always going to be on the sidelines, like when I have time for it, or if I'm playing with someone who wants to play a gig. Like, you know, if Nate Boots has a gig that he wants to share with me, you know, I'm almost never going to say no, just because I like playing with him. We have a good time, etc. But I would say like even this past summer, I didn't really reach out to any venues. People just kind of reached out to me, and those gigs that I did play, I played just because someone asked, which kind of maybe sounds bad. I don't know that I'm kind of saying it out loud now, but
supply and demand, you know,
different people
want to
like
hear
different parts of it too. So if you're more, you know, flexible in the way that you show up as a musician, that could maybe work. I mean, it's definitely harder if you decide ahead of time that you need to make it this huge.
Yeah, and you're not relying on it. So like I'm hungry for gigs all the time. I'm constantly going out trying to find one.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to like pay my bills with it. So it's
right.
different.
Yeah. I find like the outlets in other ways, like watching music documentaries, reading like music books and biographies and stuff, and even just like listening to music or going to see my friends play.
Yeah.
Like if I go see Grum play, I'm like, oh, that was a really good time, and I felt like I just watched music or listened to music for 2 hours, and like I don't feel like I need to. I didn't feel bad that I didn't have a gig that night.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
cool. That's cool.
Well, and I mean, people like, I think some good examples would be like Chris and Ben from Keeping It Local. People only gig like that because they're trying to like make a dime. It's like punching a clock. It's so I don't think there's anything to feel bad about just because you're not trying to book a million gigs. If anything, that's actually like a good way to make sure people are hungry to see you perform.
Thanks, Graham. That's kind of why I stopped. I had one gig the day before Thanksgiving, kind of like out where I grew up in Mapleton, but I haven't played like a gig here in Mankato since August. And I purposely didn't do it. I didn't book anything because I wanted people to be like, oh, we haven't seen Mal in a while. We got to go see her, which is happening next week.
Tell us about the launch.
The launch, yes. So on Wednesday, December 13th, this is the first release show at the Art Center in St. Peter. It's at 7 p.m. And so there's not an entry fee to get in, but we do ask like any donations that you make will be given to the Art Center for Anne and Ark's time. And I was just going to set up some chairs. There'll be some t-shirts for sale. And shout out, boys.
Shout out.
Shout out to the 410 for helping me create those. But so that will be just myself solo. I'll play through the 5 songs, and then I also have like some comments and little stories that I made about the songs I'll be saying in between. And I guess any questions that people have. That'll be the first show. And then the second show is on Thursday, December 14th at the 410 Project. And that's the one I'm really excited for. Triple Falls is doing the sound. Thank you, guys. And that will be the people who were on the album will be playing with me. There'll be a fee to get in, light refreshments, t-shirts and things for sale. And then the third show is at the Wine Cafe on December 16th, also at 7. All the shows are at 7 p.m. And that one's just more like a regular gig. It's 2 hours. I'll play cover songs. I'll play my friends' songs. And, full bar, obviously, at the Wine Cafe. Oh, and I should say that the 410 show, Caleb Brown Schulz is opening for the first 30 minutes. And then Zach Walchuk is opening for the first 30 minutes at the Wine Cafe.
The album itself, there's a lot of collaboration going on too. Like in term, like this is My here, right?
Yeah, My Train. Yeah.
I feel like you reached out to like a ton of people. Like, was that something that you were doing?
Yeah. So I am from Mankato. I feel like a lot of people who were born and raised here, some people will be like, oh, you got to get out of Mankato. You can't be in the town, like living in the town that you grew up in. But I kind of found this group through other people that I just kind of fell in love with. I fell in love with the town, but most importantly, the people. And so as soon as I realized that I was going to come out with something like this, an EP, that I don't have $1 million, but I do like the idea of trading a TF shirt for a Mal Murphy shirt, things like that. So that's kind of how it started. And I knew that I had a lot of close friends who would be willing to do things like that. Like I'm babysitting Krista's kids for her putting like the fiddle down on the album. So things like that. And I am just lucky because I do have a lot of really good people who I know who love and support me. So that's kind of part of it. And I had mentioned something to my Tran, and about wanting like a logo or something created by her. She was a printmaker who just graduated from MSU. She's now going to the University of Minnesota. So I mentioned something to her. And then finally, when the time came around, I didn't know what the cover was going to be. And I just sent her like the title, my name. And I kind of knew I wanted it to be something to do with plants, like referencing to the grow up part. And she created it. So then it was actually Jacob Bass's idea to put it as the cover. I kind of was like going back and forth if I should put like a photo, but Jacob was like, you got to put Maya's art up there because like she's so talented. So that's kind of how that came to happen. And Scott Helgerson, who recorded and mixed everything, he's such a dear friend. So that was kind of an easy choice. Like I didn't go to all of these studios and price their options. I was just like, oh, Scott's gonna do it. There's no other option for me than that. So just say friends in this town. There's a lot of really talented people in this town.
It's cool. You got any, we talked a little bit about maybe future music, but are there any dream collabs or anything like that you're kind of looking forward to or trying to make happen in the next year or two, maybe even or distant future, if you got any far out collabs that you'd love to make?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think I don't sit around hoping and dreaming to play with anyone probably other than Brandi Carlile. She's like, if I could, cool. Even come in 100 feet of her, I'd be happy. But like opening for her would be an absolute dream. And she's actually started to become a producer, and she's producing kind of like girls my age. She produced Jade Birds' EP. So just like the idea of that would be, out of this world. But locally,
cool.
I really, really like Nikki Pepper. And she's like, she even sent me a message earlier and was saying like how happy she is to see that an EP is coming out. And I was like, oh my God, Nikki Pepper's sending me a message. I can't even handle this. So definitely her. I'd say women just in general, no offense to men, but women who are coming together are pretty powerful. So any opportunity for that. Laura Carls, of course. I sang with her one time and that was dreamlike.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that we'd like to touch on, either about the album, the process, or the upcoming events?
No, I think I just want to like give a shout out to the people who are on the album. I want to be thankful for their time and like, give their name out. They're all part of their own separate, projects. Nate has his own music, Ben Scruggs. And then Brian, he's part of the Coyotes, which has Draper, Krista. And then I'd say, obviously the most important person on this album is my mom. She sings harmonies and she has a mandolin solo. And none of this would happen. None of this would be happening if it weren't for her. So I just want to give a special shout out to her.
Heck yeah.
She's going to be so cute and so nervous. Ooh. I'm so excited.
I'll be there.
Oh, yay. Okay, good.
That's awesome.
That's cute.
Unless you have any like stories or like an anecdote or just anything you want to share, otherwise we can do plugs. I
don't think so. I can't think of anything.
Well, where can we find you?
Oh, yeah. So I've got an Instagram and a Facebook just under like Mal Murphy or Mal Murphy Music. And a website is being made this week under malmurphymusic.com.
Whoa.
It's official.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, anything on social media, you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for the album, excited for the shows.
Yeah.
The Malbum.
Thank you, boys.
Malbum.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for playing a tune. And we'll see you on that day.
Later, Big Livin'.